Good afternoon. Welcome to #Flint, coming at you from the east side of Flint, Michigan. I'm Shayne Hodges, and this is Nancy DeKatch. And today we're going to talk a little bit about some things that can help your life be better if different situations and different resources and networking tools with people to connect and just be a part of making and living a better life. So I would like to talk a little bit about Nancy. I see your story is, just the way things in your life just seem to happen and come together really brought everything to a certain mission, and the things you're doing right now are phenomenal to, first of all, help people and, take advantage of, I think these moments that we're living, we live every day, and you only experience so much. So the things you experience might as well be good and to the best of your ability, no matter what your situation is. So, tell me a little bit about your story and the things that you've done, and how did you get to this place right here? You've written a book. Mm-hmm. What's the name of the book?
Well, I have a couple things. First, I want to say thank you for allowing me to come on the show and share my story and encourage people to do their best every day. Yes. And, don't worry about the small stuff, Right, exactly. And it's really interesting because I've been in this studio before. I held my show here, the Nancy DeKatch Caregivers show here, and then we took a year off. One of our board members passed away, and so we've done a restructuring, and so he never got to see, well, he kind of saw the book in the draft, but he never really got to see it. But it would not surprise me if he's hanging over my shoulder right now as we're in the studio. But thank you for letting me come on the show. But what I did is I became a caregiver. I've been a caregiver my whole life, since a very young age, and it wasn't until the death of my husband that I really understood the 360 of being a caregiver. But as it's turned out, it was what was supposed to be. I never questioned why me. I never questioned that. But my big thing when I would plead to God was just, if you get me through this without me losing my mind, I will serve you the rest of my life in serving the family caregiver in any capacity that you have for me. And God took me up on that, and so now that's what I do. That's my mission. That's what I live for. I've tried really hard to get rid of it, and I can't. It's just, I think when you've been anointed. There's nothing you can do. You can't throw it away. And when you really think about the big picture, we're all here for a reason, and we struggle sometimes with knowing what our purpose is. And what I learned was that I knew my gifts and my talents. Right. I always knew what those were. But then when my husband died and I became a homeless, jobless, penniless widow with no support, is when I learned what my purpose was. Because then all I had was God. All I had was my faith. I had my health insurance. Right. And that was it. And everything else was all orchestrated by God, and so I thank Him, and I thank the great people.
There's amazing rise with your institute and your everything you do for the community of caregivers and the network of people that you serve and help and support, and that's kind of what the idea we're trying to do here. We're trying to build a better life and support people.
Sean, I talk about, or Shayne. I always get you mixed up. I know both, but but I apologize for that. In this world, I truly believe that there's two types of people. There are people that need care, and there are people that give care. And this happens all over the world. It's just universal. And we're just not going to get out of it. And if you're a family member, the worst thing you can do is bail, on your family member, because you will, at some point in time, something will come up and it will come back to you. So, I try to let the families know. I understand it, because I was not a good daughter to my mother. My mother was very difficult, and I just ignored her. So I'm not saying that I was perfect, because I was not. Right. But things happen in families, and sometimes you just have to distance yourself from that, and that's okay. But what's great about what we've created is that we're going to help you along, and so. At my office, we have a nap room. We have exercises. We teach you how to forgive. We get you through some of those tough things. But we do is something called co-counseling, which is really great. So it's a legal thing that we can do without really being a counselor, but we have to take classes so that we kind of know what we're dealing with. But, you know, it's two people, and it's a very private conversation, and each person gets a turn to talk without interruption, without judgment, and they get to vent. And it's private. And when they come to my office, we do things like that. And I will co-counsel with these individuals because sometimes it's just
the tough times of going through a loss or watching a loved one. You know, just the everyday burdens of a caregiver. You know, if you're working the field or if you have family members. The everyday. It's always good to time out. You have to take a break once in a while.
And they don't know. That's the problem. They don't know the signs of it, and then it leads to burnout. Then it leads to chronic illness. Then it leads to, you know, a lot of different things. And just right now in the world that we live in, there's so many tragedies.
And, you know, and there's people who are, you know, there's both not enough caregivers and too many patients to just, the full burden of the human service industry is just...
Yeah, and we take care of...
The baby boomers are retiring, and all these different generations of people are now needing care.
Yeah.
And we're seeing, you know...
Well, it's an avalanche, and and this is the thing. You know, what we do is we take care of the non-professional family caregiver, because there's not doctors, nurses, you know, whatever. They're all out there. But, you know, they need our services as well, because... you know, they work for a company. The majority of them work for a company. They go to school, they get their degree, they make their money, and somebody gets sick in their family, then their job is on the line. They have to compromise their own health, their well-being. Everything you ever save for, like what happened to me, I saved for my everything. I paid cash for my Corvette. You know, I did everything right. I had money in the bank. How in the world could somebody like me, a privileged individual, end up with no money, no home, So how did that happen? And that's what I had to know. What did I do wrong? Well, then I learned I really didn't do anything wrong. I just didn't know the rules. So we created this program where we're going to help our families understand some things, because I really believe if they have the knowledge, they have the power. And if we can help our families negotiate better, and we can help them through some tough stuff, they can share whatever they want with us. It's not going anywhere. We don't recommend that they discuss these intimate details in a group setting. We even talk about that, because sometimes these things can come back and hurt you. You know, and
you know, it's a fact of life that we always deal with. Our everyday lives and our everyday health is very important to having a happy existence. Because when you're happy, everything is. But when you're not, and you're unhealthy lifestyles and situations, and you're just, you know, there's so many things. You need to find these resources. And if someone was interested in coming and being a part of what you're doing, where are you located? And where's some ways to get involved with your
you can visit my website, which is ndci-inc.org, and we just shorten Nancy DeKatch Caregiver Institute to NDCI. And you can, you know, go to the website. You can email me if you want, and you can send it to my personal email, which is nancydekatch@gmail.com. You can email me through my website as well, but it just seems like people like the personal part. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we do a number of events all over the area. We're going to 7 cities in 2016, which is really great. So we're taking our program on the road, and that's very, very exciting.
So that is very exciting.
Very exciting. So we've kind of exploded, and we're really good. We're happy about that. But, you know, we don't deal with big crowds all at once. We don't have 2,000 people or anything like that, because
what's the number size?
Well, you know, the largest number I had was 170 some people at one of my events, but the people that I've reached, I can't even count. I can't even count it, because pretty much I'm the pioneer for all of this, and now there's people catching on, and they're starting to serve the family caregiver in a different way. But the difference between us and some of the other caregiver programs is, one, that we take care of the non-professional family caregiver. We take care of adults. We take care of the youth caregiver. We take care of the elderly caregiver. We take care of the military caregiver, which now has a name. They're called the hidden heroes. So we take care of all of them. And the first thing we do is, you know, we really take care of that person. What is it we have to do to help you so you don't fall?
Right, definitely.
And generally what comes up is they have fear. Fear of their job, fear of what am I going to do if I'm left alone? What am I going to do when this person crosses over to the other side? What am I going to do? There's a lot of what ifs, and we break it all down. In our next event, if anyone's interested, we would love to have you come, is at the Horizon Center in Saginaw, Michigan on February 5 and 6. And we're going to talk about caregiver finances. That's the number 2 issue about everything. How am I going to be able to afford for this? Most people have a retirement and they take that and they save that money for a vacation after retirement. Well, the way that we're living today, that's a possibility that won't happen. So you're going to be taking your retirement money and you're going to be using it for care.
Right.
And we're going to talk about all those things and how the laws have changed to gobble up your money. So you can spend your money and you won't be able to do those things that you saved up for and you dreamed of. And things are so different in the world today. So we're going to talk about that. We have Rick Barnett from Barnett Tax and Finance and Tax, and he's been with us from the beginning.
Okay.
And he teaches the financial piece on it. And because we'll be in Saginaw, we're going to have elder law attorney Carol Thomas. And Carol Thomas was crowned Ms. Senior Michigan last year.
Congratulations.
And 2 years in a row, she has been crowned first runner-up Ms. Senior America. And she came to my event this year and played the piano. She's a concert pianist. And she's a cancer survivor. She knows what it's like on both sides. And when she turned age 40, she went to law school. And so, and she has a thriving practice. And, we're going to be collaborating for this event. And it's just a great event. The event's $69. You have to pay for this event because you get the books and things like that. It's $69. You can find all that information on our website, which is ndci-inc.org.
Okay, and that sounds like a wonderful opportunity to just come be a part and get control of your life and the situation. And all the education you can offer is so valuable and important. And to have a little time away and you get the books. Now, are these the books you get
I have
here,
the particular. These are books from my. I became a health coach because I don't want to be on the sick side anymore. I want to be on the well side because you see, you wouldn't have the struggles that you would have if the person was taking care of their health.
Right.
And so I had to figure. Those are one of the things I had to figure out was why did my husband Joe get sick? Why did he have to accept a mechanical heart? Why were we only given options for advanced and invasive medical, procedures. Now, the artificial heart was in a trial at that time, and it still is in a trial, but they're doing more and more of these surgeries. But Joe was the 160th person to have one, so, we were in a learning curve. But when he took that heart, he was the 160th patient. I became the 160th caregiver. And so what irritated me after the fact was that I really didn't have any support. I didn't know what to ask for. I didn't know I was going to end up burned out. I didn't know I was going to end up losing money. I didn't know our insurance company was going to say, wait, we're at $3 million and we can't treat you anymore. You got to die. I didn't know that stuff. Well, now that I know it, I find myself in a position where I have to advocate more. I have to let our families know, what, you're at risk. You're big time at risk. And these other exactly. And these other agencies, they teach these, these different, I can't name them, but some of these different nonprofits will teach about caregiving, but they're only going to teach you about that disease, and they're only going to teach you how to do that job for free.
Oh, wow.
And I don't do that. I'm going to say, no. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. This is the strategy. Every situation is complex, but there are similar things that are the same. And then if I can share my book, I want to share this. This is, I don't know if you can see it or not. This is the book that I wrote. Now, when Joe was alive, I just took envelopes and had them bound and put all the receipts in there. Well, after, he's been gone now almost 7 years. So what I did is I created this book for family caregivers. So when you come to one of our events, you're going to get one of these books. And it's really kind of cool. A lot of people say, oh, well, we use the internet or we use QuickBooks or whatever we use, for our research and how we're going to budget. Well, I'm almost certain you're going to understand how this book works and why it's so vital. And we explain all that at this workshop. But I just want to show your audience a little bit.
Beautiful.
It's just simply the caregiver budget and tax organizer. Now, every year the taxes change. And what I appreciate about the Alzheimer's Association, because they have the numbers and they have the money, they are able to go to Washington and lobby for the dollars. The problem with that is they only use it for that particular disease.
Right.
But they are the front runners when it comes to this big push.
Yeah.
But they don't teach like I teach,
Okay.
So what I did.
It's always better to have it in a book form.
Oh, it's
Sometimes
great.
to write it down and have it, because you never know. You may not have internet
It's just so simple to follow when you understand it.
Right. Yeah.
And when you become a caregiver,
Computer crashes and there's everything gone for years.
There's all kinds of things. Well, now things are changing so fast. But what you have to keep your documents regardless of anything. So this is what I did. So this is how, I don't know if you can see it or not, but if you want one of these books, you can buy them. They're $20. You can go to my website and inbox me and I'll get you a book. And so what we did is it's a ledger form book.
Okay.
And
I see
at the top,
envelope.
Yep, we've got the little envelopes. So you have 12 envelopes in here.
Oh, okay.
And on the top you have
So it's almost
the
like
most
an Excel
expensive
sheet.
out-of-pocket expenses that you have as a caregiver.
Okay.
Out-of-pocket, most, and there's some on both sides.
Okay.
And there's certain things we're going to teach you in the class, how to negotiate for the proper beds and things like that, because the insurance company is only going to give you one.
Right.
And if you have a condition that you're going to need a bed that's not the cheapest mattress that you're going to be given, we're going to teach you how to negotiate. You take that person's condition and I will teach you how to negotiate to get what you need for the future, because you do not want skin breakdown.
Right,
okay, so I teach all that stuff.
Yeah.
So here's what we do. So in this column here, we have a budget. And the budget is the care recipient's money.
Okay.
It's not the we money, and it's not my money. It's the care recipient's money. And they have a budget. So you put that at the top. And this is for every month. And then you simply can put an X or the dollar amount or however you choose to do it. You put it in the box. And we have dates 1 through 31. These are the days of the month. And you're going to put an X under some of these things. Mortgage,
Food,
whatever. And you put an X there. And then you're going to subtract it. So this is the budget. And you put the dollar amount, whatever you spent, and you subtract it. So you have a running tally for the whole month. So you have a budget at a glance. So you can look at it and say, ooh, I only have $670 left that I can spend, and maybe we can't go to a movie, or maybe we can go to the library and rent some videos or something like that.
Yes.
It gives you an idea, so you're not wasting your money and spending it foolishly. Then at the bottom, at the end of the month, you'll know if you're in the red or in the black. And you transfer that money to the next month and start all over again. And it gives you an idea of really what you're spending. It keeps track of it. So we have our mileage on here. Your volunteer caregiving hours are in here. If a minister or someone, clergy comes over to visit, you're going to get a business card or a bulletin or something. You're going to put it in here, because caregivers are usually under the microscope. Anyone can accuse you of anything. Your neighbor who's had a gripe with you forever, and suddenly you become a caregiver, they can make a free phone call and you're going to be investigated. And this is what this book's all about, because all those things happened to me.
Yes.
And so then what happens is you end up putting all that documentation for that month, all the transactions, in this envelope.
Yep.
And it's all there for that month. And you turn the page and you start all over again. And then at the end of the book, I talk all about the important letters.
Okay.
All the important letters. And I talk about my story, what happened to me. Joe had a mechanical heart. We couldn't pay our electric bill. They were going to shut us off. If they shut us off, he was going to die. What am I supposed to do? All that was on my shoulders. He couldn't walk. He could think, and make his own decision because he had his mind. But he couldn't physically do anything, and he couldn't help me. So he felt helpless. I was frustrated. I was scared, and I had to learn how to negotiate. And he was the great negotiator because he did that for a professional, for the police department. But so all these experiences I put into this book, and I teach you why you need these certain letters and how you need to go about it. And so depending on your condition, your situation, we have templates, so it makes it real easy. So when you come to our workshops, you're going to work. Yeah. We're going to give you a flash drive. You're going to plug it into your computer. You're going to fill in the blanks. You're going to have this complete. That will eliminate probably 65% of caregiver stress. And then some of the other things you need to do to set up your year for the next year. And then in the very back, we have a information contact list. This is huge. Anyone that comes into your house has to sign this.
Okay, yes.
It's your running ledger. If your phone falls in the water, if you leave your phone someplace, we love our phones. I love my phone, don't get me wrong.
Who remembers a phone number these days?
Exactly. It needs to be on here. And you have to understand the aging population.
Right.
They're not really technical savvy.
Yeah, tech savvy.
I'm still not, but I love my phone.
Right.
So this is why we need it. And so the other benefit to this is that we all know about families, and families have conflicts with one another, and I can do it better than you, and I can take care of mom or dad better than you, whatever. Right. This will actually kind of diffuse some of that here's animosity.
Here's what's been happening here, and thanks for stopping by. Good to see you.
Yeah, and you sign it.
Or take care. I'm sure a lot of people would like to say, okay.
Exactly, because you almost, and you can have a date there. So that what you don't want, and the whole thing, because what happened to me, I had no support from the family, and then at the end I couldn't even afford a funeral for Joe. I had $800 left to my name. Wow. And the different things, but I can't fault the children because they didn't understand. Right. And I didn't know how to explain to them because I was so burned out. I was just in autopilot half the time, but they didn't understand. And so this will help too. And now, I really want families to be united. I don't want them to be separated.
And with the truth, and here's the truth. And like you said, and that's perfect reason for it is a book that you can write everything down and look back on anything and keep the peace and have good tax records and
you have
top of your finances, and that will continue to maintain your independence.
Oh yeah,
your way of life that you want to live and have more control over everyday life, and that's one of the hardest things for the care recipient is they lose control of their life. They might have their mind. You have yours and you take on someone else's, so you have to plan your budget, and you have someone else's. So it's amazing what you're doing with your retreat and your book, and you're also a life coach.
I'm a health coach. Yes. But I want to say one more thing about this book. In Genesee County, and I'm sure in most counties in the United States, there's always a senior millage. And with that senior millage, dollars are set aside for senior services. So another thing that this book does is, say you're a caregiver, and caregiving can happen in an instant, overnight. You can take this book to an agency or make an appointment with an agency, and they come out to the house, and they're going to want to see proof. You've got your tax records and everything in here. All you have to do is open this book up, and everything is there.
Whatever you need.
All your receipts are there. You don't have to wait 6-7 months because they're short staffed or whatever. You get everything taken care of. And I thought about that because I had to wait so long for things. And then when I learned where the resources were, it was too late.
So
and that's just crazy. And so we teach all these important things at the workshop.
Resources, and
we have a whole list of resources, and not only that, but we shorten the learning curve for the caregiver, because what I learned is, I would call this agency, or and they'd say, "Oh, can't help you, make too much money." I call the other, they say, "But call this one." So I call that one, and they say, "Nope, You meet the financial criteria, but you're the wrong age. Maybe you need to call this person. And so by the time I got done talking to everybody, I was so frustrated. I said, this is it. I'm calling Granholm, which Granholm was in office. I'm calling Granholm's office. We're cutting through the red tape. I'm getting my benefits. I need to know now. And that's what it took for me to get even heard. And that's what allows me to be the advocate I am, because you don't need all that crap to deal with. You got enough to deal with.
Yes.
And you got all these people going to these meetings every month. It takes them 3-4 years to make a decision, because they get to go and have a free lunch, and they're discussing a meeting for 5 minutes, and nothing really accomplishes anything. And then you're waiting, and in that time that you're waiting, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years has gone by. You don't need the services. And then I get people say to me, I wish I would have known about you. Well, you don't know about me because those other agencies aren't going to tell you about me, because if they do, we're going to cut in on their profit margin. And I'm here to tell you that you can save your money. And that's why I created what I did, because I care about you, because I've recovered.
Or family member.
Exactly. And you don't, money's so hard to come by now. Good jobs are just not there. And the wealthiest people in the country is our 80-year-old senior, 80 to 92-year-old senior. And, all the feasibility studies have been done. The government knows, everybody knows it has a business. They're all out there to make a profit. And it's going to cost you
going and flowing.
That's right.
And it's going to cost all.
And it's going to take the money away from you. And then the family members are like, well, we don't want the farm taken away, so we're just going to stick our parents in an assisted home. Well, we're going to talk about those things too, the legal things that you just can't think like an uninformed consumer.
Work out, right.
And what I learned too is when you become a family caregiver, and the church will be mad at me, but this is really how it is you have to treat, when you become that family caregiver, you have to treat it like a business. Do you have a business plan? Who's your advisors? Right. Who's your financial person? Right. Who's your gopher? Who's the nurse? There's a whole element to it.
Yeah, a network of different people with their skills coming together to make you have to. Otherwise, there's no one to do it on your own. You can't. No,
and you can't, because you don't have the knowledge maybe, or and so that's what we have created, and we're really proud of what we do.
You're doing a great job. You're such a wonderful source to the community and a resource for people to reach out and to be a part of this and learn how to take control of your life and your situations, whatever stage they're in, to be a part of your future, because it comes real fast, and then you're all alone.
Yeah, you do lose your role. I talk about that. I hate to say death, but I lost my role. And when Joe died, I lost my role. Here, I've been carrying this bag of rocks along with me all these years, taking care of him, making sure he was healthy, making sure that his room was sterile, making sure his drive line was clean, and all the sterile gowns I had to wear, and I had to cover my mouth. All of those things, only to know and learn in the end that it didn't really matter, because we're out of money and you got to die now.
Right. Wow, that is so crazy.
And what's really sad about it is, and Alzheimer's and some of those things that happen at end of life are a little different. But when you have these advanced procedures done, some of these life-saving procedures, the consumer really needs to be informed, and the consumer needs to understand that you are the customer. It's not the other way around. And you need to know all the facts. And we call that bioethics. Yeah. And bioethics is, I talk about this a lot, is bioethics basically is, someone has a condition and they become ill and tests are run and the results come back, doctor gets the report, you're called in for a visit, doctor shares with the patient what's going on, doctor and patient make a decision for the care or whatever that patient decides to do. The family members, they get drug into it. Yeah. With very little counseling, and they don't know the problems that are happening. And this is what happened to me. But again, my situation's not the norm, but I've had them all. So,
Everybody has a different situation.
Exactly.
And it's good to have
Yeah, so that's why I'm on the well side now, which you talked about the books. Now, I became a health coach because I want to be on the well side. I teach caregiver self-care, and I teach all about keeping that caregiver well, because they're going to lose their role, and then they'll be compromised. So this is just our book. This is Integrative Nutrition. I graduated from the Institute of Integrative Nutrition out of New York City, and it's a wonderful program, the best in the world. So I'm a global coach. This is the first time they ever did that. So I'm a global health coach, and we talk all about keeping you well. What I practice is Eat to Live by Dr. Joel Foreman. Now, next year is our 6th annual event. Well, it's actually our 5th annual event, but it's our 6th event. And we are seeking to bring in Dr. Joel Foreman to talk to us about health and staying healthy. And so we think that's going to be a huge, huge, huge celebration, because caregivers they're not even given options. Just this is the medicine, this is the treatment, but no one's ever given that option. Well, maybe nutrition has a part of this.
Eat to Live for the patient as
this
well.
This is Eat to Live for everybody that lives.
Yes.
It's a really great book, and I follow this.
Does it tell you what kind of foods to eat or how to prepare it? Or
it's really interesting. Mindset? It's all about anatomy, the physical anatomy. It talks about your blood sugar. It talks about diabetes. It talks about heart disease. And, you can reverse these problems.
Yeah.
With patients and food, because we talk a lot about in my practice, and what Dr. Furman talks about is we consume calories, but we don't consume nutrients. And so we can eat a bag of chips, and that's going to be, 500 calories, but it's absolutely no nutrient but salt.
Right.
And salt's going to raise your blood pressure, and it's going to clog your arteries. It's not going to clog your arteries, but it's going to do things. And so it takes a long time to get this junk out of your body. Yeah. And so we talk about all that, and we take the myths out of that too, the truths and the myths. But I know we're almost out of time.
Yeah,
and it just flew by.
Such a valuable resource to have, and your information on the internet is what is it?
Oh, my website's ndci-inc.org, and we're on Facebook, and you can send me a private message.
Now, do you have both books for sale? All 3 books?
Well, these books are mine. These are not for sale. My book that we're talking about, that's going to be coming out, this organizer, you can purchase, or you can come to the workshop and learn how to use it. But
I wanted to find the books Eat to Live, or
you can go to Borders and get, not Borders, Barnes and Noble, or any Amazon. But my next book that's coming out, which will be coming out actually tomorrow, where the manuscript gets turned in. It's called, you'll like this, The Little Black Book of Divalicious Secrets.
Wow.
And I talk a lot about, being a lady, but being kind of, a diva. And how women just have to learn so many things, and so I titled it that, and the publisher said, well, this book's all about secrets, why don't we name it this? So that's what we did. We named it The Little Black Book of Divalicious Secrets. Wow. And some people have said, I got to get the book for my wife, and I'm like, no, I don't think so. But it's going to be a great little book, and it's full of knowledge. It's full of solutions. It's full of scenarios. It's not a book where it's paragraph after paragraph. It's just little quotes, little situations that happened to me, and different things that I had to learn to be successful in negotiating, which I call the Nancy principles, which is another thing, which is negotiate, advocate, navigate, communicate, and yammer, and that spells my name. And I use the Nancy principles in this book, and I teach about what we need to do, because it's all about empowering you to be your best, because the worst thing you want to do is like to put your foot in your mouth, to have a bad reputation. which you're going to have anyway if you're too stressed.
Everybody
because
has an
people don't
opinion.
want to forgive.
That's one thing too. You have your opinion, and everybody's
Right.
living life no matter what. So with that, we're gonna say.
Well, I
nice to
thank you
have
so
and,
much for letting me
we'll
come
see
on
you
the
next
show.
time. Remember to like and share, and have a great day, everybody.